Captain Hyunwoo Kim stood in front of the large window in his office. Outside, stars filled the dark space around the human space station. He held a datapad in his hands, but he did not want to read it again. The numbers on it made him angry and sad at the same time. 3 more human colonies were gone. The aliens called it an accident, but Hyunwoo knew better. The Veltorian ships had aimed their mining lasers directly at the human settlements. 200,000 people had died in seconds. Men, women, children. All turned to dust because the aliens wanted the metal under their homes. The door to his office opened with a soft sound. Ambassador So-Min Park walked in. She looked tired. Her blue diplomat uniform was perfect as always, but her eyes showed how hard the last few weeks had been. She carried more bad news. Hyunwoo could tell just by looking at her face. The Galactic Council said no again, So-Min said. She put another datapad on his desk. They will not give us protected space zones. They say human space is empty land that anyone can use for business. Hyunwoo set down his first datapad and picked up the new one. The official message was written in the cold language that diplomats used when they wanted to sound important. But the real meaning was simple. The aliens did not think humans mattered. How many times have we asked them nicely? Hyunwoo asked. 47 times in the last year, So-Min answered. Each time they give us the same answer. They say we are too new to space, too weak to deserve our own territory. They think we should be happy that they let us exist at all. The door opened again. Chief Military Advisor Taehyun Lee came in without knocking. That meant the news was very bad. Taehyun was an old soldier who had fought in the first contact wars 50 years ago. Back then, humans had shown the aliens that they could fight. But after the wars ended, Earth chose peace instead of more fighting. Captain, Taehyun said, I just got word from the outer colonies. The people are scared and angry. They want us to fight back. They say Earth has forgotten how to protect its own children. Hyunwoo understood how the colonists felt. For 50 years, humans had tried to be good neighbors in space. When alien ships entered human territory without permission, humans asked them politely to leave. When aliens took human resources, humans filed formal complaints. When aliens destroyed human property, humans asked for apologies and promises that it would not happen again. The aliens saw this as weakness. They thought humans were afraid to fight. They were wrong, but humans had worked very hard to make them think that. Earth wanted peace more than it wanted respect. But now Hyunwoo wondered if that had been a mistake. Sir, So-Min said, there is something else. My sources in the Galactic Council tell me that some of the alien races are planning something bigger. They talk about the human problem in their private meetings. Taehyun's face grew dark. What kind of problem? They think humans breed too fast and spread too quickly through space. They say human independence is like a disease that might spread to other young races. Some of them want to stop us before we become stronger. Hyunwoo walked back to the window. In the distance, he could see human transport ships moving between the planets. Families going to new worlds to build new lives. Scientists exploring the mysteries of space. Artists and writers sharing human stories with alien cultures. These people trusted Earth to keep them safe. How many ships do we have in the hidden fleet? Hyunwoo asked quietly. Taehyun looked surprised. For 50 years, it had been forbidden to talk about the hidden fleet. Most humans did not even know it existed. 3,000 major vessels, sir, plus all the weapons platforms and defense stations that look like civilian buildings. And how many ships do the aliens think we have? Our public records show 200 patrol boats and some old cargo ships, So-Min answered. That is what we want them to think, Hyunwoo nodded. The Great Deception had worked perfectly for half a century. Human engineers had built the most advanced war machines in the galaxy, but they had hidden them behind holographic disguises and false records. To alien eyes, human ships looked slow and weak. Human soldiers seemed poorly trained. Human weapons appeared primitive. This had not been easy. Human pilots had to pretend to struggle with basic flying while actually being the best in space. Human soldiers had to act afraid while being the most dangerous fighters in the galaxy. Human scientists had to hide discoveries that would change the balance of power forever. But the deception had given humanity something precious. Time. Time to grow strong without being attacked. Time to spread through space without being stopped. Time to build a civilization based on hope instead of fear. Now that time might be ending. The colony ship Aurora is scheduled to launch next week, So-Min said. 50,000 people going to establish New Incheon in the Kepler system. Should we delay the launch? Hyunwoo thought about this. New Incheon would be the furthest human colony yet. It would also be very close to Veltorian space. The aliens might see it as a threat or an opportunity. No, he said finally. We will not hide from bullies, but we will be ready for them. He turned to face his advisors. Send another formal protest to the Galactic Council. Use the same polite language we always use. Ask them nicely to respect human territory and human lives, sir? Taehyun looked confused. After everything they have done? Yes. But while Somin is writing pretty words about peace and cooperation, I want you to do something else. Move our real defense fleets into position around all human colonies. Keep them hidden but ready. Somin understood immediately. You think they are going to test us? I think they have been testing us for 50 years, Hyunwoo replied. Each attack was a little bigger than the last one. Each insult was a little worse. They are trying to find out where we draw the line, what we will accept and what we will fight for. And if they cross that line? Taehyun asked. Hyunwoo looked out at the stars again. Somewhere out there, alien commanders were planning their next attack on human civilians. They thought humans were weak because humans chose not to show their strength. They thought humans were stupid because humans preferred talking to fighting. They had no idea what was coming. If they cross that line, Hyunwoo said slowly, then we stop pretending to be weak. We stop acting like we are afraid. We stop being polite to people who kill our children. Somin and Taehyun exchanged a look. They had both served in the military before becoming diplomats and advisors. They knew what human forces could really do when the gloves came off. There is one more thing, Hyunwoo said. Start working on a message. Something short and clear that even the stupidest alien can understand. If they push us too far, we are going to give them one final warning. After that, no more Mr. Nice Guy. As his advisors left to carry out their orders, Hyunwoo remained at the window. He thought about the first human astronauts who had reached for the stars with nothing but courage and curiosity. He thought about the colonists who had built new worlds with their bare hands. He thought about the children growing up on distant planets, learning to love the universe that their parents had given them. Humans had come to space with open hearts and open hands. They had offered friendship to every race they met. They had shared their knowledge, their culture, their dreams of a better future for everyone. In return, they had been treated like insects, like a problem to be solved or a nuisance to be removed. But insects do not build starships. Insects do not hide fleets that could conquer galaxies. Insects do not spend 50 years planning for the day when patience runs out and politeness ends. The aliens were about to learn the difference between being weak and being kind, between being afraid and being careful, between being helpless and being merciful, and once they learned that lesson, the galaxy would never be the same again. Director Minho Chang stood in the command center deep under the surface of Earth's moon. Around him, dozens of screens showed the real-time status of human colonies across the galaxy. Most of the lights were green, meaning everything was normal. But too many were flashing red. Red meant danger. Red meant attack. Red meant human beings were dying while he watched. The largest screen in the center showed the new Sol colony in the Tau Ceti system. 2 million people lived there. Families who had traveled across space to build a new life. Children who had never seen Earth but still called it home. Scientists working to terraform the planet and make it perfect for human life. Minho watched the Zephyrian Empire warships move into position above New Sol. The alien ships were huge, each one the size of a small city. Their weapons could turn a planet into glass and ash in minutes. Sir, said Operator Kyungmin Park from her station, the Zephyrians are demanding that New Sol surrender immediately. They say the colony is built on their sacred hunting grounds. Minho almost laughed, but there was nothing funny about it. New Sol had been built on a world that the Zephyrians had never visited. The nearest Zephyrian settlement was 50 light years away, but now that humans had made the planet valuable, suddenly it was sacred to them. What does the colony governor say? Minho asked. Governor Lee is asking for time to evacuate civilians. At least let the children leave safely. Minho watched the alien ships move closer to the planet. He knew what was going to happen next. He had seen it before. The aliens would refuse to wait. They would claim that humans were being difficult. Then they would attack and later say it was an accident. Sir, another operator called out from across the room. Multiple energy signatures detected. They are charging their main weapons. On the screen, the Zephyrian ships began to glow with deadly light. Minho had seconds to make a choice. He could order the hidden human defense platforms around New Sol to reveal themselves and fight. But that would end 50 years of careful deception. Once the aliens knew how strong humans really were, everything would change. Emergency message from New Sol, Kyung Min reported. Governor Lee is begging for help. They have children in the evacuation centers who cannot be moved in time. Minho closed his eyes for a moment. He thought about his own granddaughter, who was the same age as those children. He thought about the orders he had been given to keep the secret at all costs. He thought about the greater good and the bigger picture and all the reasons why sometimes good people had to watch bad things happen. Then he opened his eyes and watched 2 million human beings die. The Zephyrian weapons fired down at New Sol like the anger of gods. The planet's surface turned white-hot, then red, then black. Cities that had taken decades to build were gone in seconds. Parks where children played, schools where they learned, hospitals where they were born. All of it turned to dust and smoke. The command center was completely silent. Everyone stared at the screen where New Sol had been. Now there was only a dead rock floating in space. Incoming message from the Zephyrian fleet commander, someone said quietly. The alien appeared on screen. It looked like a cross between a lizard and a bird, with bright blue feathers and cold yellow eyes. When it spoke, its voice was full of fake sadness. This is Admiral Krex of the Zephyrian Imperial Navy. We regret that the illegal human settlement refused to evacuate our sacred world. The destruction of the pest colony was necessary to prevent disease from spreading. We hope this teaches other humans to respect Zephyrian territory. The message ended. Admiral Krex had called 2 million humans pests. He had murdered children and called it pest control. Minho felt something break inside his chest. Something that had been holding back 50 years of anger and frustration and rage. The door to the command center burst open. Dr. Yoonji Kim ran in, her face pale and her hands shaking. She was Earth's top expert on alien cultures and one of the kindest people Minho knew. Right now she looked ready to kill someone with her bare hands. Director, she said, her voice tight with fury. I just got off a call with my contacts in the Galactic Council. This was not random. The attack on New Sol was planned. What do you mean? 3 major alien powers have been meeting in secret for months. The Zephyrian Empire, the Veltorian Republic, and the Manthari Collective. They call it the final solution to the human problem. Minho felt his blood turn cold. What kind of solution? Complete extermination, Yoonji said. They want to kill every human in space before we spread any further. They see human independence as a disease that might infect other young races. They want to cure the galaxy by wiping us out. Before Minho could respond, another alarm sounded. Admiral Do-Yoon Park appeared on the communication screen. He was So-Min's younger brother, and the commander of Earth's Outer Rim Defense Forces. His ship was somewhere near the edge of human space, keeping watch for alien movements. Earth Command, Do-Yoon said urgently. I am seeing massive fleet movements from the Manthari Collective, at least 500 ships heading toward human space. They just declared our entire territory a quarantine zone. A quarantine zone? Minho asked. Yes, sir. They say humans carry a mental disease that makes us think we deserve freedom. They are moving to contain the outbreak before it spreads to other species. Minho looked around the command center. His people were waiting for orders. They had spent their whole careers following the rules, keeping the secret, being polite to aliens who treated them like dirt. But now those aliens wanted to kill every human in the universe. Sir, Kyung-min said from her station. Incoming priority message from the Galactic Council. The message appeared on the main screen. It was short and written in the cold official language that galactic bureaucrats used when they wanted to sound important. By unanimous vote of the Galactic Council, the species known as humanity is hereby classified as a minor nuisance with no rights to territorial claims, governmental representation, or protection under galactic law. All human settlements outside the Sol system are declared illegal and subject to immediate removal. This decision is final and not subject to appeal. Minho read the message twice to make sure he understood it correctly. The aliens had just declared that humans had no rights, that human lives did not matter, that human children could be killed like insects without consequence. They had made their choice. Now Minho would make his. Dr. Kim, he said, his voice calm and steady. I want you to contact every human colony, ship, and station in space. Tell them to prepare for emergency protocols. Yes, sir. What kind of emergency? The kind where we stop pretending to be weak. Minho turned to face the main communication console. Get me Admiral Do-yoon on a secure channel. Not the public frequencies that the aliens monitor. Use the hidden military network. A moment later, Do-yoon's face appeared on a different screen. Behind him, Minho could see the bridge of a real human warship, not the fake patrol boat that aliens thought he commanded. Admiral, Minho said. How long would it take to activate Project Revelation? Do-yoon's eyes went wide. Project Revelation was the code name for humanity's ultimate secret. The day when the masks came off and the galaxy learned what humans could really do. 12 hours to bring all systems online. Do-yoon answered. 6 hours if we skip some of the safety checks. Skip the safety checks. And Admiral? Yes, sir. Prepare the final warning message. I think it is time the galaxy learned some manners. Minho turned back to his staff. They were all looking at him with a mixture of fear and excitement. They knew what Project Revelation meant. They knew that after today nothing would ever be the same. Sir, Yoonji asked quietly, are we really going to do this? Are we really going to show them what we can do? Minho thought about the children of New Seoul, about the families who had died because aliens thought human lives were worth nothing, about the billions of humans across the galaxy who were about to be hunted like animals. Dr. Kim, he said, for 50 years we have been the nicest neighbors anyone could ask for. We have been patient and polite and understanding. We have turned the other cheek so many times that our necks hurt. He looked up at the screen that showed the dead world where New Seoul used to be. But there is a difference between being peaceful and being defenseless, between being kind and being stupid, between being civilized and being a victim. Minho walked over to a secure terminal and entered his authorization codes. Deep in the computer systems of Earth and Luna, ancient programs began to wake up. Across human space, hidden weapons that had been sleeping for decades started to power up. Today, the galaxy learns that when you murder children and call it pest control, when you declare genocide and call it public health, when you mistake mercy for weakness and kindness for fear. Minho paused as the authorization completed and alarms began to sound throughout the command center. Today, they learn what happens when humans stop being polite. The message went out at exactly noon, Earth time. It traveled faster than light to every corner of the galaxy, reaching human colonies and alien worlds at the same moment. It was broadcast on every frequency, translated into every known language, and repeated on a loop that could not be stopped or blocked. Admiral Do-yoon Park's face appeared on screens across the universe. His voice was calm and clear, like a teacher explaining something simple to slow students. To all species of the Galactic Council, and to any others who may be listening, this is Admiral Do-yoon Park of the Human Defense Forces, speaking for Earth and all human colonies. We are sending you this message because it appears that our previous communications have not been clear enough. On the bridge of the UES Indomitable, Captain Woojin Choi watched alien fleet movements on his tactical display. 14 Veltorian dreadnoughts were moving toward Kepler 442, where 3 million humans lived and worked on the planet they called New Busan. The aliens had ignored Earth's final warning, and were still coming. Sir, said Tactical Officer Hyun Lee from her station, the Veltorian fleet is maintaining attack formation. They are not slowing down. Woojin nodded. He had expected this. The aliens thought humans were bluffing. They had been so convinced of human weakness for so long that they could not imagine anything else. Do-yoon's message continued across the galaxy. For 50 years, humanity has chosen peace over war, diplomacy over destruction, and cooperation over conquest. We have been patient with your insults, understanding of your fears, and forgiving of your mistakes. We have turned the other cheek so many times that some of you have begun to think we have no spine. The Veltorian Admiral Vex appeared on Woojin's communication screen. The alien looked like a walking shark with 4 arms and small cruel eyes. When he spoke, his voice was full of the arrogance that came from thinking he was the strongest predator in space. Human vessel, Admiral Vex said, you are ordered to leave this system immediately. The Veltorian Republic has claimed this world for mining operations. Your illegal colony will be removed. Admiral, Woojin replied politely, I'm afraid that will not be possible. This system belongs to humanity and these people are under our protection. Admiral Vex laughed, a sound like metal scraping against stone. Protection from what? Your tiny patrol boat? Human, I have 14 dreadnoughts. You have 1 small ship. Do the math. I have done the math, Woojin said calmly. Computer and stealth protocols. Show them what they have been fighting. Across human space, the great deception ended. Ships that had looked like small patrol boats suddenly revealed their true size as the holographic disguises shut down. What aliens had thought were tiny vessels were actually massive dreadnoughts, each one larger than anything in the known galaxy. Mining stations dropped their fake appearances, showing themselves as heavily armed fortress platforms. Communication arrays revealed hidden weapon systems that could crack planets. Even civilian transports shed their disguises to show the battle cruisers underneath. Admiral Vex's laughter died as his sensors finally registered what was really in front of him. The small human patrol boat was gone. In its place was a ship so large that it had its own gravity field. Its weapons were bigger than most alien vessels. "This is impossible," Vex whispered. Duyun's message played on, his voice reaching every corner of space. "You have mistaken our mercy for weakness. You have confused our preference for peace with an inability to make war. You have assumed that because we choose not to show our strength, we do not have any." On the hidden fortress New Busan, engineer Kyung-Soo Nam powered up the station's main weapon for the first time in 30 years. The fortress had been disguised as a communications relay, but it was actually a mobile battle platform with enough firepower to sterilize solar systems. "All systems green," Kyung-Soo reported to his commander. "Planet Cracker cannon is ready to fire. Hold position," came the reply. "Wait for their response." The alien fleets throughout the galaxy were having the same experience as Admiral Vex. Everywhere they looked, they were suddenly surrounded by human ships that should not exist. Weapons that violated galactic treaties. Technology that was supposed to be impossible. Commander Ji-won Kim led her fighter squadron away from the hidden base at Alpha Centauri. To alien eyes, the fighters looked like the small, slow craft that humans had been using for decades. But when Ji-won activated the real engines, her squadron moved faster than light itself, appearing and disappearing around the alien ships like angry ghosts. "Gold Squadron. This is Gold Leader," Ji-won spoke into her radio. "Remember the rules of engagement. We disable their ships, we do not destroy them. We capture their crews, we do not kill them. We are not like them." Her pilots confirmed the orders. Even now, when the masks were finally off, humans were still trying to minimize casualties. Still trying to be better than their enemies. Duyun's message reached its climax. "This is Earth's final warning. Stop attacking human colonies. Stop killing human civilians. Stop treating human beings like insects to be exterminated. Stop now, or we will stop pretending to be courteous." In the Zephyrian home system, the aliens who had destroyed New Sol suddenly found themselves staring at a human battle fleet that had been hiding in their own backyard. Ships emerged from behind moons and asteroid fields where they had waited patiently for years. Dr. Yoonji Kim spoke from her position in Earth's war room, her voice broadcast to the stunned Galactic Council. "You thought our ships were slow because you saw us traveling at your speeds. You thought our weapons were weak because we only fired warning shots. You thought our soldiers were fragile because we tried to avoid casualties, yours and ours. The revelation was spreading faster than the aliens could process it. On 1,000 worlds, alien commanders were frantically calling their superiors, trying to understand how their intelligence had been so completely wrong for so long. The Manthari Collective's war fleet, which had been moving to quarantine human space, suddenly found themselves surrounded by ships that made their own vessels look like toys. Admiral Krex, who had destroyed New Sol, watched his sensors in disbelief as human dreadnoughts materialized around his flagship. "This cannot be real," he said to his crew. "Humans do not have this technology. They are barely above animals." His tactical officer, whose hands were shaking as he read the displays, reported quietly, "Sir, I am reading enough firepower around us to destroy our entire fleet 100 times over. Each of those human ships is larger than our capital city. But the greatest shock was yet to come. The Zephyrian Empire, in their arrogance and rage, decided to end the human problem once and for all. They deployed their ultimate weapon, a planet killer that could turn entire worlds into cosmic dust. Their target was Earth itself. The massive Zephyrian weapon, larger than most moons, powered up for the shot that would end humanity forever. It charged its main cannon, the one that had destroyed a dozen worlds in the Empire's history of conquest. Admiral Do-yoon watched it approach on his screens from the bridge of the human flagship Indomitable Spirit. His crew waited for orders. their hands ready on weapons that could vaporize the Zephyrian superweapon in seconds. "Sir," his tactical officer asked quietly, "shall we destroy it?" Duyun smiled, but there was no humor in it. "No, let them fire first. Let the galaxy see what happens when someone tries to destroy Earth." The Zephyrian planet killer fired its ultimate weapon at humanity's homeworld. The beam was so powerful that it lit up the entire solar system. It was the kind of attack that had ended civilizations. It struck Earth's defense grid and simply disappeared. Around Earth's sun, hundreds of hidden defense platforms revealed themselves. Each one was a miracle of human engineering, invisible until activated, powerful enough to stop any attack ever created. The platforms absorbed the planet killer's energy and redirected it harmlessly into space. Then they fired back. The Zephyrian superweapon, the pride of their empire, the destroyer of worlds, lasted exactly 17 seconds against humanity's real defenses. Duyun's final words echoed across the galaxy as the alien superweapon turned into expanding gas and debris. "We gave you 50 years to learn how to be civilized. We offered you friendship, cooperation, and peace. We asked for nothing but the right to exist and grow among the stars." The silence that followed was profound. Every alien fleet in space sat motionless, surrounded by human ships that could destroy them without effort. Every alien world watched the skies, wondering if human retribution was coming. "You chose to answer our friendship with genocide," Duyun continued. "You chose to respond to our peace with war. You chose to treat our mercy as weakness and our patience as stupidity. On a million worlds, alien leaders waited to learn their fate. They had awakened something that had been sleeping for 50 years. Something that had been hiding behind a mask of politeness and restraint. Now the mask was off, and the galaxy was about to learn what humans were really like when they stopped trying to be nice. "Now you will learn," Duyun said quietly, his words carrying the weight of 50 years of insults, attacks, and murdered children. "What happens when you mistake courtesy for cowardice? What happens when you confuse civilization with weakness?" The message ended, but its echo would ring through the galaxy forever. The age of human politeness was over. The age of human dominance had begun. The galaxy learned very quickly that humanity's patience had been the only thing keeping them safe. At the Battle of New Horizon, Commander Ji-won Kim led her fighter squadron against the finest pilots the Manthari Collective had ever produced. The aliens had trained for centuries in the art of space combat. They flew ships designed by their greatest engineers and armed with weapons that had conquered a dozen star systems. They lasted 3 minutes. Ji-won's fighters moved like nothing the aliens had ever seen. They appeared and disappeared, struck without warning, and vanished before return fire could touch them. The human pilots had been pretending to struggle with basic maneuvers for 50 years. Now they showed what they could really do. "Gold 2, Gold 3, take the command ship," Ji-won ordered over her radio. "Remember, disable only. We want prisoners, not bodies." Her wingmen acknowledged and dove toward the Manthari flagship. The alien ship's weapons fired desperately, trying to hit targets that moved faster than their computers could track. The human fighters danced between the energy beams like they were moving through a gentle rain. "Gold Leader, this is Gold 2, came the report. "Enemy command ship disabled. Their bridge crew is requesting surrender." "Accepted," Ji-won replied. "Gold Squadron, move to the next target. And someone please explain to these aliens that we are trying to capture them, not kill them. They keep fighting back." The aliens could not understand this. In their experience, war meant total destruction. The strong killed the weak and took everything they owned. But humans seemed to be fighting a completely different kind of war. They destroyed weapons but spared crews. They disabled ships but rescued survivors. They won battles without massacring the losers. It was confusing and terrifying at the same time. At the siege of Terra Nova, Colonel Sang-hoon Park coordinated the defense of one of humanity's newest colonies. The Veltorian Republic had sent an entire army to crush the human settlement. They brought massive war machines and soldiers trained for conquest. They expected to face farmers and miners with basic weapons. Instead, they found themselves fighting ghosts. Human soldiers wearing powered armor moved through the Veltorian ranks like they were walking through a children's playground. The alien weapons that could punch through starship hulls barely scratched the human armor. Meanwhile, human weapons cut through Veltorian battlesuits like they were made of paper. "Delta Squad, this is Colonel Park," Sang-hoon spoke into his helmet radio. Enemy force approaching from the east. Disable their vehicles but give their crews a chance to surrender. Copy that, Colonel. Hey, do you think they know they are fighting super soldiers? Sang-hoon watched his tactical display as his soldiers moved across the battlefield. Each human was worth 100 alien warriors, but they still tried to minimize casualties. Even when the aliens showed no mercy, humans continued to offer it. I do not think they understand anything yet, Sang-hoon replied, but they will learn. In space above Terra Nova, the real education was taking place. Admiral Vex, who had been so confident when facing what he thought was a small patrol boat, now found his entire fleet surrounded by human dreadnoughts. His 14 ships looked like toys next to the massive human vessels. Captain Woojin Choi opened a communication channel to the alien admiral. Admiral Vex, this is Captain Choi of the Human Defense Forces. I am offering you one chance to surrender your fleet and withdraw from this system. Vex's image appeared on Woojin's screen. The alien's arrogance was gone, replaced by fear and confusion. How is this possible? Our intelligence said humans had no significant military force. Your intelligence was wrong, Woojin replied calmly. We allowed you to think we were weak because we hoped it would prevent exactly this situation. We preferred that you underestimate us rather than fear us. This changes nothing, Vex said, though his voice shook. The Veltorian Republic will never surrender to humans. That is your choice, Woojin said sadly. But I should mention that my ship's main gun is currently aimed at your flagship. One shot will reduce it to atoms. Your choice is simple. Surrender and live, or fight and die. Vex looked at his tactical displays. His sensors showed him the impossible truth. The human ship's weapons were larger than his entire vessel. There was no escape, no hope of victory, no chance of survival if this turned into a real fight. Vex struggled with words he had never expected to say. The Veltorian Republic surrenders. Across the galaxy, the same scene was playing out on 100 battlefields. Alien forces that had seemed unstoppable were being crushed by humans who fought like nothing they had ever encountered. But the strangest part was how the humans fought. They won every battle, but they tried to save every life they could. Dr. Yoonji Kim explained this to the emergency session of the Galactic Council from Earth's war room. Her image appeared on screens throughout Council. Space as alien leaders tried to understand what was happening. You are confused. Because you think war has only one outcome, she said to the assembled alien representatives. In your experience, the winner destroys the loser completely, takes their worlds, enslaves their people, erases their culture. The Zephyrian Council speaker, his proud feathers now drooping with defeat, asked the question they all wanted answered. Why do you not destroy us? You have the power. We would destroy you if our positions were reversed. Because, Yoonji replied gently, that is exactly the difference between us and you. We do not want to rule the galaxy. We do not want to destroy other civilizations. We just want to live in peace and grow among the stars without being murdered for it. But not all the aliens were ready to accept this new reality. The Zephyrian Empire, desperate to restore their reputation as the galaxy's greatest military power, made one final attempt to destroy humanity. They gathered their remaining fleets for an attack on Earth's solar system itself. The Zephyrian armada was massive beyond imagination. 1,000 ships carrying enough firepower to sterilize planets. They had fought and won against dozens of civilizations. They were the terror of the galaxy, the monsters that other species told stories about to frighten their children. They entered the Sol system expecting to face Earth's hidden defenses. They were prepared for a difficult battle against advanced human technology. What they found instead was Admiral Do-Yoon Park waiting for them, with a single ship, one human vessel against 1,000 alien warships. This is Admiral Do-Yoon Park of the Human Defense Forces, came the transmission from the lone human ship. You are entering human space with hostile intent. Turn around now and you will be allowed to leave safely. The Zephyrian fleet commander could not believe what he was hearing. Human, you face the entire Imperial Navy with one ship. Surrender now and we will make your death quick. I appreciate the offer, Do-Yoon replied politely, but I think I will decline. Computer, activate the Sol defense grid. Space around Earth's sun erupted with light as hundreds of defense platforms revealed themselves. They had been hiding in the solar wind, disguised as space debris invisible to all sensors. Each platform was larger than most alien ships and armed with weapons that defied the laws of physics as the aliens. understood them. The Zephyrian commander watched his sensors in growing horror as more and more platforms came online. His 1,000 ships were surrounded by defenses that could destroy them all without breaking a sweat. "This is impossible," he whispered.
"How long have these been here?"
50 years, Doyun answered. "We built them after the first contact wars, hoping we would never need to use them. We have been defending Earth from people like you since before most of your crew were born." The Zephyrian fleet fired everything they had, 1,000 ships unleashing their full power at the same time. Enough destruction to crack a planet's crust. The human defense grid absorbed the attack like it was a gentle breeze and fired back. When the light faded, the Zephyrian Imperial Navy was gone. Not destroyed, but captured. Every ship disabled. Every crew taken prisoner. Every weapon neutralized. In less than 5 minutes, the terror of the galaxy had become refugees begging for mercy. Doyun's voice carried across the galaxy as news of the battle spread. "For 50 years, we tried to show you a better way. We offered you partnership instead of conquest, cooperation instead of competition, peace instead of war." On alien worlds throughout the galaxy, populations that had lived in fear of Zephyrian conquest celebrated in the streets. The monsters were gone, defeated by humans who had seemed weak but were stronger than anyone had imagined. "You chose to answer our offered hand with a closed fist," Doyun continued. "You chose to respond to our friendship with genocide. You made your choice and now you live with the consequences." The storm had broken, and when it passed, the galaxy was a different place. The old powers were humbled. The bullies were beaten. The weak were protected by guardians they had never expected. And in the aftermath of the storm, something new began to grow. Something the galaxy had never seen before. Hope that strength and kindness could exist in the same place, wielded by the same hands. The age of human politeness was over. The age of human justice had begun. 6 months after the galaxy learned what humans could really do, Ambassador So-Min Park stood before the rebuilt Galactic Council. The Great Hall looked the same as it always had, with representatives from dozens of alien species sitting in their designated sections. But everything else had changed. Where once the aliens had looked at her with barely hidden contempt, now their eyes showed respect mixed with healthy fear. They sat quietly in their seats, waiting to hear what humanity had decided about their future. The galaxy's former bullies had become very polite students. "The Terran Federation offers the following terms for galactic peace," So-Min announced, her voice carrying clearly through the vast chamber. She no longer had to ask for permission to speak or wait for others to finish insulting humanity before she could respond. "First, all human worlds and colonies are recognized as sovereign territory under the protection of Earth. Any attack on human civilians will be considered an act of war against humanity itself." The Veltorian representative, Admiral Vex himself, shifted uncomfortably in his seat. His fleet was still being held in human custody, while his government decided whether to accept responsibility for their crimes or face the consequences of continued hostility. Second, reparations will be paid for the destruction of human settlements. The families of New Sol will be compensated for their losses. New colonies will be built to replace those that were destroyed. So-Min paused and looked directly at the Zephyrian section, where Admiral Krex sat with his once proud feathers now gray with shame. The alien who had called human children pests now could not meet her eyes. Third, and most importantly, the Galactic Council will be restructured to include human representation proportional to our actual capabilities, not your previous misconceptions about our weakness. The chamber was completely silent. In the old days, aliens would have interrupted her speech with protests and insults. Now they waited quietly for her to finish, like children being lectured by their teacher. The Manthari Council speaker, a being that looked like a walking crystal formation, finally spoke up. His voice was careful and respectful. "Ambassador Park, we accept your terms without negotiation. But may I ask a question?" "You may. We have studied the records of our conflicts with humanity. Your forces could have destroyed our fleets completely, but you chose to disable and capture instead. You could have conquered our worlds, but you chose to leave them independent. Why?" So-Min's expression softened slightly. This was the question she had been hoping someone would ask. "Because conquest was never our goal. We never wanted to rule you. We just wanted you to stop trying to exterminate us." A new voice spoke from the human section, Minister Jin A.O., Earth's Director of Galactic Affairs, stood up from her seat. She was a small woman with gentle eyes, but everyone in the chamber knew that she spoke for the most powerful military force in the galaxy. Humanity has always preferred peace to war, Jin said, her voice warm but firm. We offered you partnership for 50 years. We shared our technology, our culture, our dreams of a better future for all species. We asked for nothing but the right to exist. She looked around the chamber at the alien representatives who had once dismissed humans as worthless insects. But we will never again allow that preference for peace to be mistaken for weakness. We will never again permit you to confuse our mercy with helplessness. We will never again tolerate genocide being called pest control. The Zephyrian speaker finally found the courage to speak. Minister O, my people are ashamed of our actions. We did not understand what humanity truly was. We saw your kindness and thought it was fear. We saw your restraint and thought it was inability. And now? Jinie asked. Now we see that the strongest people in the galaxy are those who choose not to use their strength unless they must. We see that true power is the ability to show mercy to those who have shown you none. From the observation gallery above the main floor, Captain Hyunwoo Kim watched the proceedings with quiet satisfaction. Beside him stood Dr. Yoonji Kim, who had become one of the galaxy's leading experts on interspecies relations. The transformation they were witnessing was everything they had hoped for and more. It is strange, Yoonji said quietly. For 50 years we hid our strength because we feared what would happen if they knew how powerful we were. We thought they would unite against us or try to destroy us before we became too strong. And instead, Hyunwoo asked, instead they respect us for the first time. They listen to us. They treat us as equals instead of inferior beings, all because we finally showed them what we were capable of. Down on the main floor, So-min was answering questions from various alien representatives. The tone of the questions had changed completely from the old days. Instead of demanding to know why humans thought they deserved rights, the aliens were asking how they could make amends for their past behavior. Ambassador Park asked the Veltorian representative, what can my government do to repair the damage we have caused to human colonies? Minister O will provide your government with a list of materials and assistance needed for reconstruction, So-min replied. But more importantly, we need your commitment that such attacks will never happen again. You have it, the Veltorian said immediately. Our government has issued new standing orders to all military commanders. Any attack on human civilians is now considered treason against the Republic. The session continued for several more hours, as the details of the new galactic order were worked out. Human colonies would have full protection under galactic law. Human ships would have free passage through all space lanes. Human representatives would serve on all major galactic committees with voting rights equal to the elder species. Most importantly, any species that felt threatened by more powerful neighbors could appeal to humanity for protection. The galaxy's new guardians would not conquer or control, but they would defend the weak against the strong. As the session ended and the representatives began to file out, Admiral Do-yoon Park joined his sister and the other human officials. He looked tired but satisfied. The last 6 months had been busy ones for the human defense forces. How are the integration programs going? So-min asked him. Better than expected, Do-yoon replied. We have over 10,000 alien officers and scientists working with our forces now. They are eager to learn our methods and technologies. Some of them are quite impressive once they stop trying to prove how tough they are. And the prisoners? Most of them have accepted repatriation to their homeworlds. A few have asked to remain and serve with us. Admiral Krex himself has requested permission to work with our humanitarian aid programs. So-min raised an eyebrow. The alien who destroyed New Sol wants to help with humanitarian aid? He says he wants to spend the rest of his life trying to make up for what he did. I think he understands now that strength without compassion is just brutality. As the human delegation prepared to leave the council chambers, they were approached by a group of young aliens from species that had never been allowed to speak in the council before. These were representatives of the weak races, the ones who had been conquered or oppressed by the galaxy's former bullies. Honored humans, said their spokesman, a being that looked like a walking flower with rainbow petals. We wanted to thank you for what you have done. For the first time in our history, we can speak without fear of retribution. Jin smiled warmly at the young aliens. You should not have to thank anyone for basic rights. Every species deserves to be heard, to be respected, to live without fear. But how do we know this will last? Asked another of the young aliens. How do we know the old powers will not return when you are not watching? Because, Jin'e replied, humanity will always be watching. We learned something important in the last 50 years. Peace is not the absence of conflict. Peace is what happens when good people are strong enough to protect it. Later that evening, as the human delegation returned to their quarters, Captain Hyunwoo Kim stood once again at a window looking out at the stars. But this time he was not alone. His aide, Lieutenant Subin Lee, joined him in watching the ships moving peacefully through the space lanes. Sir, Subin said quietly, what happens now? We have won the war, restructured the government, and gained the respect of the galaxy. What comes next? Hyunwoo thought about her question. What had come next for a species that had achieved everything it had fought for? What did you do when you had proven your point and established your place in the universe? Now, Lieutenant, we do the hardest job of all, he said finally. We live up to the example we have set. We prove that power and responsibility can go together. We show the galaxy what civilization really looks like when it is protected by people who understand that strength exists to defend the weak, not to prey on them. Subin nodded thoughtfully. And if other species challenge us? If they try to test our resolve? Hyunwoo smiled, but it was not the cold smile of a predator. It was the warm smile of a teacher who knew his lessons had been learned well. Then they will learn the same lesson the others learned, that humans prefer peace but we are very, very good at war, that we would rather be your friend than your enemy, but we are prepared to be either one as circumstances require.